The average person is said to spend 15 minutes in the bathroom. Why not take advantage of that time and learn something new? Presenting the 15-minute podcast on weird facts, crazy details, and funny particulars that you'll be able to enjoy while you're taking a on your free time. Welcome to This Shit with Sam Butler. Welcome to another episode of This Shit podcast. We have a very special episode for you guys today. I have a very special friend, Luis Lone Wolf Muñoz. How you doing,
everybody?
buddy?
I'm fine. I'm happy. Thank you.
Yeah. Actually, my buddy Luis has his own podcast called Otra Ronda, which is a podcast that talks about whiskey and liquors and different wines. And then the other part of it is Jessica. She's not here with us today, but Jessica talks about what food to pair it with, and it's an awesome podcast. So thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. It's a podcast about booze, pretty much. Booze and food. Mostly booze.
So today we're enjoying some whiskey in honor of my guest, the sommelier.
Cheers.
Yep. Tell us about the whiskey we're drinking.
So this is a Scotch. This is a single malt from the Valvini. It's a 16-year-old whiskey with a triple cask maceration. And it has, the most important part, it has a Oloroso sherry cask. Okay. So it's a Spanish wine.
All right.
Sherry, Jerez in Spanish. And it gives it really fruity notes, very soft.
This thing is delicious, bro. I'm a whiskey drinker. Like my favorite whiskey is Bushmills. I mean, Irish whiskey. That's
really good.
That's my favorite go-to whiskey all the time. And I'm not big on just drinking the whiskey straight a lot. I know, I mean, that's a sin, but it's not something that I do all the time. But I can enjoy this by itself.
Oh yeah,
which is amazing to me.
You know, a whiskey is made to be had many ways. There's some whiskeys you must blend with or mix with water, and there's some you gotta enjoy straight. This is one of them.
Yeah,
they put so much effort that you must drink it by itself. It's good in mixology and cocktails, but by itself, it's just wonderful.
Yeah, actually, I was looking up a lot of weird facts. I mean, I have over 100 weird facts on whiskey, so obviously we're not going to get to all of them.
No, not yet, not today.
Yeah. But unaged American whiskey, do you know what it's called?
Kernel whiskey? No, unaged moonshine.
They call it has a nickname. They call it White Dog.
Okay, White Dog is the whiskey coming right off the alembic. Still.
Yeah, the still.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So this is an English podcast. I know that Spanish is your first language, but I appreciate you giving it a shot in English.
Thank you. I'll have a shot and give it a shot.
Have a shot and give it a shot. Cheers.
Cheers.
So if our speech gets a little slurred, you know, we've been drinking whiskey now for a minute.
This is my second language.
This is your second language.
It's my first day.
Your first day, yeah. Now, whiskey has a value of 4.91 billion pounds in 2019. Well, a pound is more than $1, I believe.
It's half a kilo.
Yeah.
It depends on what we're talking, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're in Mexico right now. Half a kilo
Some kilos are worth 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, not necessarily translates into dollars. not dollar for dollar the way we're talking. You know. How much is half a kilo? $80,000. Oh, okay. No, I wasn't talking about that kind of kilo.
Depends on how good you want it.
For 4.19 billion, so almost 5 billion pounds is what it's worth in 2019. That's what it said.
Lot. That's like almost $7 billion.
Yeah, dollars.
That's
a
lot of zeros after
That's
the
a
7.
lot. Yeah, so it's a big industry. And we're going to talk whiskey, weird facts today. I already mentioned that. Some of the weird facts that I found is that according to Kentucky distillers, 95% of all bourbon whiskey is produced in Kentucky.
Yep.
So that's a lot, 95%. And who would have thunk it, you know? Because I'm always like particular more to the Scotch and Irish whiskeys, you know, but I guess I got to start drinking Kentucky whiskey and give it a shot.
So it's 95% of bourbon whiskey.
Bourbon whiskey.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between bourbon whiskey and regular whiskey?
So bourbon whiskey is a type of whiskey, which is mostly corn. Well, at least 51% corn. Kentucky whiskey must be made in Kentucky. So if you have 95% of Kentucky whiskey, it should be 100% because it's all supposed to be made in Kentucky. But bourbon, a lot of us confuse bourbon for Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah.
Bourbon can be made in Texas, and there's actually some really good Texas bourbons.
I was looking at, and I gotta find the fact here because I got so many of them. But it talked about where the word bourbon came from, or where bourbon whiskey came from. One of the arguments was that it was from New Orleans, from Bourbon Street. That's where it got known. But I know that that's not true.
No, it ain't.
No, because Bourbon actually in New Orleans wasn't talking about whiskey. It was talking about carpet. You know.
Okay.
You know, like you've heard of Berber carpet. Well, it was kind of that's where Bourbon came from, or bourbon.
So I knew a different story. I kind of like whiskey. I'm way into whiskey. So Bourbon was a family name, and they had a Bourbon County. And within Bourbon County, there's Lexington town and another two of them, which I don't remember. So the whiskey called Bourbon now was made in these towns or this county, and that's why it got its name, Bourbon.
So the fact that I found said some people believe Bourbon was named after Bourbon County in Kentucky, which is what you're talking about.
Yep.
Others believe it was named after Bourbon Street in New Orleans, a major port of trading Kentucky whiskey, which I know is not true because the word bourbon, New Orleans bourbon street, I spent a lot of time there, has more to do with fibers than it has to do with...
Is that one of the... Street?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's
that
the
makes
street.
sense.
That's the street.
That explains a lot.
And now you know why I spent a lot of time there. No, I'm just, actually, they still like I've mentioned it before, but the boobs you get to see in New Orleans aren't necessarily the boobs you want to see. That's what I'm saying.
Still boobs, man. You know,
there's still boobs. Yeah, you know. But this was an interesting fact. The co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, Bill Wilson, demanded whiskey on his deathbed, but was refused it. You know, that's
a last wish.
Yeah, last wish. I want some whiskey. Nope, you're on the 12-step program, but
you're getting holy water, buddy.
Yeah, but I'm dying. It's okay, bro. You don't need it. You know.
Can I get some perfume at least, the very least?
Yeah. Whiskey's been to the International Space Station. They wanted to see how gravity affects the I want to say I don't think that's the right word.
Maturation. Yeah.
Is that the right
finishing?
word?
Yeah. Maturation. No. Aging. It's a little bit more
aging is a more appropriate.
It does make sense because I get very grave when I drink whiskey, man.
What's the most expensive whiskey? You know?
I last heard of a Macallan bottle sold over $2 million.
Well, this is old because this is 2019. It said a 30-year-old cask of Macallan set a new record in 2019 for the most expensive whiskey. The cask sold at auction. It fetched $572,000.
Oh, no. There's whiskeys way more expensive than that.
So it's old news, I guess, you know.
Yep.
Do you know Mountain Dew, the drink? It was originally meant to be a whiskey chaser, which makes sense because I never understood what Mountain Dew was.
Okay, you know guilty fact here. Guilty through it. When I started drinking whiskey, I was drinking Buchanan's. And one night, you know, after
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too. It's Juarez. We drink a lot of whiskey, and that's what I had. So one night, I discovered the magic of Buchanan's and Mountain Dew.
Oh, it was amazing, huh?
Yeah, it was really good. But then after a while, I found out that both of them are not really that good. So I just stopped.
Hey, you got to start somewhere, right? I mean,
unconsciously, I made a good choice.
Yeah. Like when I started smoking cigars, I started smoking the inexpensive Romeo Julietas. There's some really good Romeo Julietas, but that's a very good cigar to get started with. And then now you smoke a little bit better cigars and you go, it's okay.
Yeah. A little bit better, quote unquote. It's okay. Come on, man.
But that's the one that they always, when you're a tourist somewhere, that's the one they always sell you, Romeo Julieta. It's a classic. And there's some really good Romeo Julietas. They're not all made the same, you know. The vast majority of whiskeys exported from Scotland is blended, not single malt.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
Blended. A blended whiskey, without going into much detail, is a whiskey made from malted barley, which is called a single malt, mixed with other malted barleys and other grains, rye, wheat, corn. In the U.S., corn is the most used grain for whiskey.
Which would be moonshine.
Moonshine means it's illegal.
Okay.
But so corn is used in the U.S. Rye and wheat are mostly used in Canada and Scotland and Ireland.
Cool. Frank Sinatra, you familiar with him?
Yes.
He was buried with a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Oh yeah, but it was not any Jack Daniels. No. It was a very special Jack Daniels. Yeah.
Are you familiar with the story?
Yeah.
Yeah, which Jack Daniels was he buried with?
The one that now bear his name.
Okay.
Which is like a $200+ a bottle of.
Okay, well, we got to try that. I got to try it. I'm a big Frank Sinatra music fan. Like, I listen to his stuff. You know, I found that it like relaxes me for some reason, so I listen to it all the time.
The guy had great taste.
Yeah.
Like great, really good taste. So they now have a commemorative bottle named to him, and I think that's what he used to drink, which was kind of a very special whiskey made for him.
Another weird fact: the French Federation of Spirits, whiskey accounts for the highest retail sales of any spirit in France at 47.2%. This is compared to cognac, which makes only about 0.7% of sales.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Okay, I understand that. I'd rather have 10 bottles of whiskey than one of cognac.
I'm surprised because I thought wine would be their major consumption, but they're talking about whiskey.
Yeah, but wine isn't a spirit.
Okay.
Wine is it's literally wine. It's an alcoholic beverage. Mm-hmm. I think they only account for anything that's been distilled. Because when you distill that, now it becomes a spirit.
Okay, I see what.
So brandy and cognac are spirits made from wine.
All right, that's good. A little education here on
Está cagado.
Yeah,
that's the shit.
Yep. Some 43% of German tourists in Scotland visit a distillery while visiting, making it the second most popular activity for the demographic.
I'm amazed it's not higher, like 99.5. Yeah. And then the nanny.
Yeah, it's like, what are you going to look at Scotland? Whiskey. You know, it's like...
I mean, they got great views, but...
Yeah. The Jack Daniels distillery is located in a dry county. Means a dry county.
Oh.
Yeah. So you're not allowed to sell alcohol in dry counties, but they made an exception for Jack Daniels. So.
But can people drink it out of Jack
Yeah,
Daniels?
they can buy it there. Yeah.
But they can't drink it in the county.
Yeah, they just... a dry county, what I understand, in a dry county, you can't buy alcohol. But... You cannot.
But you can ingest it.
You can ingest it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So what happens, like in Dallas, for example, there's dry counties within the city of Dallas, and then you drive over a river, and the next thing you know, it's not a dry county anymore. You buy your stuff, and you drive it back over, and you drink it.
Can you imagine how bad this shit hit the roof? So they made it a dry county.
They made it a dry county. It was pretty bad. Yeah. John Jameson. Jameson's a very famous whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He was actually Scottish. Yeah, that's funny.
It's very funny because they hate each other.
Yeah. Johnny Walker was a grocer in Scotland in the 1800s who specialized in blending tea before he decided to start blending whiskey.
Before doing good shit.
Yeah. Let me see. I'll find a couple more and then I'll get to the topic, that I want to talk about. The average measure of whiskey contains 64 calories. That's less than a banana. I don't know how they were like, hey, we can compare it to banana. 64 calories. It's not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah. I think a beer is 150?
Depends on the beer.
But 100?
Like imperial stouts are like 200 plus-ish.
So you might as well drink a couple of shots of whiskey.
Actually, when you go on a diet, most people say you can only drink vodka and whiskey. I'm like, then I'm just going to drink the same I drink.
Yeah. Actually, Nikola Tesla. Are you familiar with the guy?
Mm-hmm.
He drank whiskey every day because he thought that it would make him live for 150 years. Makes sense.
I guess a lot of his inventions came from whiskey. The fact that he was like super amazingly, incredibly smart. And
yeah, one large oak tree is said to yield enough wood for approximately 3 60-gallon casks.
3 60-gallon? Mm-hmm. Okay. But how it takes like 50 years for a
tree to be born. So
yeah.
Let me see. The combination of beer and whiskey is known as a Boilermaker. In America, blue-collar labor is regarded as an effective pick-me-up after a shift shut down. So they were like, I'm tired.
I'll pick you up with a whiskey.
A Boilermaker.
I'm like one whiskey away from picking you up already.
Yeah, I know. We've been drinking for a while now. Let me see. Ireland's Old Bushmills Distillery claims to be the country's oldest legally functioning distillery. Mm-hmm. Operations to the present site date back to 1276 by some accounts. 1276. Yeah. Now, here's something about Ireland. Okay, go ahead.
No.
You're actually right now. I know a lot of people don't know this. Lolo knows. The people from the team know. But you're actually sitting at a table that comes from an Irish pub.
Oh, this is great.
From Ireland. You know, my friend John Corran and his dad Tom Corran, they have a pub in Ireland, and they gave me this table and chairs. We became friends. They opened up a pub on Fort Bliss, and they said they let me have this table. This actually came from their pub in Ireland.
That is amazing.
And actually, I had the table and chairs when we did the podcast, and that was the inspiration for the set. We were like, okay, let's make it look like a pub, you know, because of the table. Great, yeah. So this is actually if I'm not mistaken, 1960s ish pub chair and tables.
It's you can't see it, but it's beautiful artwork on the bottom. The base is like super beautiful.
Now we're running out of time, so
it's already
it's already been 15 minutes, if you can believe that. But this is when you can get up and you take a break. You can pause it and take care of your business so your legs don't go to sleep. But we're gonna keep going just for a few more minutes. I want to talk about the whole thing the whole reason I was like, I wanted to invite you on the show because you're very knowledgeable when it comes to this stuff, and this is something I always wanted to know. I think it's the shit. But did you know that there's a rivalry between whiskeys in Ireland, and the rivalry is mostly like Irish Americans have this rivalry, not so much the people in Ireland.
Okay.
But they consider Jameson whiskey the Catholic whiskey.
Oh, and we're going there?
And they consider Bushmills the Protestant whiskey.
Yeah.
Right. Have you heard of this before?
I hadn't heard of it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but that doesn't come in the books.
Actually, what they were talking about is that if you drank Jameson, you were most likely Catholic, and if you drank Bushmills, you were most likely Protestant. And so there's an argument. I mean, I have a friend. His name is Jay LaFar. He's a comic from San Antonio, and he actually has a bottle of Jameson tattooed on him because he's a Catholic. And he's like, "That's our whiskey."
Okay,
right?
Makes sense.
And I didn't know this, right?
I guess so.
So when I was researching the subject, they said that it's kind of true, but it's kind of not true. It has more to do with the geography.
Yeah, Northern Ireland versus mainland.
Bushmills is made in Northern Ireland, right? Belfast and so on, and they consider it a Protestant drink.
Yeah.
Right. And then they consider Jameson because it's in Cork and in the lower mainland. Yeah. And it's considered
Catholic.
A Catholic whiskey.
Whoa.
Right. So it's kind of like the In-N-Out Whataburger controversy for a lot of the people that are from Texas and California. You know, it's like, but the irony of it all, right, is that the founder of Bushmills was actually a Catholic. You know, and the founder of Jameson, being from Scotland, was actually a Protestant. So it's kind of reversed.
So that must have been way back. We're talking 1700s, old, very old school
when it was established. But that's the big deal. That's the thing that I thought was the shit. It's like you can actually like identify if you're a Protestant or Catholic by what you drink in Ireland, which I don't know if that's true or not. But I thought it was the shit, and I thought I'd share that with you.
I really think it was true.
Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of punches thrown over this. Just whatever you ordered, there was gonna be a shot and a punch.
They don't like fighting in Ireland.
They just love it. They just love it. Come on.
Irish are white Mexicans. You know, they like to get drunk, they like to have a good time, and they like to fight. You know,
they know how to drink. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, these people drink so much." I've been drinking with Irish people, and dude, they know how to drink.
Yeah.
They don't get like wiped out like we do.
Yeah,
they're amazing.
No, that's on my bucket list. I was out in London last year, and I went to France. And then my friend John was like, "You're not coming to Ireland?" I was like, "Bro, I don't have that much time, but I'll be going to Ireland soon." A big shout out to John and Tom Corran. Thank you guys for the table and chairs.
Amazing table.
And now they've got a new life. They're on this podcast, and we get hundreds of viewers
on them. They're being pretty.
Yeah, a lot of famous people and not so famous people like myself sitting on them every week. But we appreciate it. And with that, we're gonna wrap up this episode. This is just the beginning, guys. I have a lot of episodes coming up that have to deal with liquor and tobacco because those are some of my favorite things. I'm not a big drinker, but my buddy here, Luis, is a sommelier, and he knows exactly how to hook it up.
Couple drinks.
How can people find you?
So I have my own podcast. It's Otra Ronda El Podcast.
Which in English means another round.
Another round, the podcast. And you can find me personally at Somme Luis with the double M. I mostly post in Spanish, but I do have a lot of reviews in English.
Yeah.
And if you want to write to me, you can just send me a DM and I'll just answer in English. Don't worry.
And he'll be on our podcast often because we're going to be doing a lot of this kind of stuff. But thank you guys for joining us. You can find me as Tu Amigo Sam on my social media as well as my YouTube page. And if you do go on YouTube and watch this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Put a funny comment, hit the little bell, you know the drill. And if you listen to us on all the other platforms like Spotify and Apple iPod, what is it? Apple Podcast. And so on. Man, this whiskey's getting to me. Apple Podcast. We're on there as Está Cagado Podcast, which is the shit in Spanish. Está Cagado, which STA Cagado. Thank you for joining us. That's it for today. Hopefully I'll have you back soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Thank you.